Happy Friday, and welcome here to another edition of Husker Online Headlines. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple. Happy shorts weather, by the way.
Shorts weather.
As you would say, shorts pants. Short pants.
Not shorts pants, short pants.
Short pants. Rarely do you see Steve Sipple in shorts.
No. Well, I ride a motorcycle. It's not a great look. No, that's not. Listen, I know guys do it. It's fine. I think usually it's younger guys, though. You don't want to see me riding a motorcycle with shorts on.
Burn your leg up.
Yeah, I mean, you got the pipe issue.
Oh, it was great. I mean, beautiful, though. Spring weather. Get baseball this weekend in Lincoln on Friday. Hopefully those games will happen, but you can't beat it. And we've got a full show on tap here.
Let's talk ball, Bill.
Let's talk ball, Coach Self. And Husker Headlines brought to you by our title sponsor, StayHome.Care. StayHome.Care offers many of the same types of personalized care you might find in a nursing home, right in the comfort of your home, whether your loved one is young or old, living with a disability, recovering from surgery, or simply just needs extra help when they're sick. StayHome.Care provides consistent, compassionate support from personal care and companionship to daily tasks like laundry, meal prep, assistance with appointments and outings. They're here when your loved ones need you, and you can't always be there. Call them at 402-205-2233. Visit their website. It's stayhome.care. That's .care, not .com. Again, 402-205-2233, stayhome.care. Thank you for being the title sponsor of HuskerOnline Headlines. But let's get into headline number one. We got a full plate of spring practice this week. Huskers will go for their 4th of 15 practices on Saturday. But on Thursday, we got one of 3 viewing opportunities we're going to get here over the practice portion. We were in the stadium because the practice fields are being tore up with new grass. But in some ways, it was good. I kind of like to get a little higher and get a full view of what's going on.
Higher in the stands.
Higher in the stands, like 20, 30 rows up, just to kind of see everything at that point. And I felt like we got a pretty good view of things.
Absolutely. It's almost better. I think it works out almost better than when they're on 2 different practice fields or 3 different practice fields, and you're trying to,
and they limit you to go. You can't go over to one of them a lot of times.
Right. You're trying to keep up. So this actually, I think it worked to our advantage. We're in the stadium. So if you're if you're watching this, just picture a bunch of reporters scattered around the stadium. I was in the West Stadium. I believe you were in the East Stadium, right? I was in the West. I wanted to be in the sun. And yeah, so we saw a lot. I mean, you actually see a lot. You're only there, though. You're only there for 20, 25 minutes, right?
It's pretty tight. And for full contacts, we don't see any 7-on-7, any team periods. It's generally individual and very light one-on-one work.
Uh-huh.
So like probably the best thing we saw were receivers and corners and safeties going one-on-one with quarterbacks throwing.
That was fun.
But the key is you get to eyeball the team.
Yeah.
And you get to kind of look at the newcomers, the new coaches. And I thought seeing Phil Snow in action, clear he's going to play a pretty prominent role. He was working with the safeties.
Phil Snow, so he'll jump around though, probably.
He'll jump around, but he was specifically working with safeties. Addison Williams was working with those corners.
Addison Williams, the new secondary coach.
And then Terry Braden was working with the defensive line.
That's and then of course everybody was the Dylan Raiola story has, the whole kind of weight thing became kind of a story.
And we'll hit on that in our next headline.
Oh, we're not doing
Dylan Raiola headline.
Oh, so never mind on that one.
Hold your Dylan Raiola horses.
Yeah, you sent me the headline, so yeah, my bad on that.
Thanks for reading the script there before practice.
I did read the script. My eyes immediately went to the lines they always do, the defensive line and the offensive line. The defensive line, I'll tell you what, your first impression is pretty good. It's a good looking group, especially the top group. Now, you always have to say this too. This is important for people, and it's important for you. You're looking at a Big Ten team. It's probably going to look good. Sean, if you went to Maryland right today and looked at their offensive and defensive lines, I bet you'd come away going, ooh, that looks pretty good. They're projected to win 4.5 games.
I would say, like with Nebraska's move to the Big Ten and the amount of money that's come with it for all teams, that's the biggest difference from like the Big 12 and the Big 8 days, where I don't think in like 93, if you went to Iowa State's practice, you'd have been like, oh, wow. Like you would see a noticeable difference.
Yeah, for sure. And Nebraska looks representative as a D line and an offensive line, like it should look, especially those top line guys: Cam Lenhart, Keona Davis,
Riley Van Poppel,
Elijah Pritchett, Riley Van Poppel, and I'd put Williams Winery in that conversation too. Yeah. Now, it was striking. I was standing there with Mitch Sherman of The Athletic, and Williams Winery, 6'6", 270, standing next to David Hufkin, looked kind of small. Hufkin is a giant. He's a giant. Now, I don't know if Hufkin's going to play as a redshirt freshman. I don't know if he's going to play. Number 53 is impressive looking, though. So we'll see on that one. That's a wild card. You don't know. There's some guys in that conversation that you just don't know about. Guys right behind the aforementioned starter types that we named.
Yeah, Hufkin will be 23 this year.
Okay.
So he's not your typical redshirt freshman. Flipping over to the offensive line, though.
Please.
Looking at that first group, and I use first group lightly, but what appeared to be a first group that started out was Elijah Pritchett at left tackle, Jason Machacek at left guard, Justin Evans at center, Rocco Spindler at right guard, Tyler Knack at right tackle. But I want to zone in on the tackle position because they are missing some key people right now. Latoski's limited, Prohaska's out, Corcoran's out. So your 6 tackles that were separated were Elijah Pritchett, walk-on Nolan Fennessy from Norfolk Catholic, walk-on Grant Segrin from Oakland Craig, Tyler Knack, transfer from Utah, Grant Bricks, former highly recruited player out of Iowa, Logan Magnolia, and then Brock Newton, Scotts Bluff native. Those are your six tackles. So by no means, I mean, just imagine that tackle group right now without Pritchett in spring ball. It wouldn't be good.
No. Pritchett is like Winery. You know which guys are the guys that are making the money. When you see them. You do. Yeah. It's not hard to pick
he is making money. Like it's evident when you see
it's evident.
I mean, I wrote in the observations a great get off the bus guy immediately when you see him. And
Pritchett?
Yeah, and our
sure.
buddy Tim Watts at Alabama from Bama Online, he said there wasn't really a prettier player off the bus on Alabama's entire roster than Pritchett.
Yeah, he looks like it should look. So does Winery. I mean, they both do. So that's good. I mean, I say it's good. That part is good. We'll see if it's good. We don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to say. Also, that left guard that you put on there was revealing. Say his name, Jason
Machacek.
Yeah, that's important. That's a sophomore.
Shake Shack, as they call him.
Shake Shack. That's an important one, Sean. 3rd-year sophomore, and see what's happening. He's just working his way in. Now there's some injuries he's benefiting from, but there he is. I mean, that's not a light thing, I don't think, for Jason to be with the first group at any point. I mean, now he's with the first group, even if it's just for a couple series in the day or 10 series in the day, whatever it is, it's big.
And he's a guy that Nebraska had been on since high school. He went to their camp actually under the Scott Frost regime.
Okay.
Didn't get an offer from Frost. Then when the change happened with the coaching staff, they had to get some more linemen, and they offered Machacek because Donovan Raiola liked his toughness back then. So we'll see. Rocco Spindler too. I hate to admit this, but I think you're right. I mean, I think he's going to be as valuable as any transfer. And you sense it's the leadership and kind of the confidence because look, Pritchett started for Alabama, but I still think Spindler brings a different kind of maturity and confidence.
He's a grown man
to that whole room.
He's grown. I mean, he's a 5th-year guy, right? And he started 13 games at Notre Dame for a team that played for all the marbles. That experience is gigantic. He went through the college football playoff and started in those games. He's seen a lot at Notre Dame. Pritchett's still pretty young. I mean, Pritchett's still a young guy. So no, I think that Rocco could be the most important transfer pickup. I really believe that.
By the way, did you see the picture of Mike Eckler we just flashed up?
I did not. Let me see.
Megan was flashing him up, but it looked like and I'll give Husker, our buddy Jim in Minnesota, this credit. It's on a scroll now, but he said it looked like Eckler got off a shift working at a coal mine. Look at him.
Oh, look at him.
I mean, what is all the black stuff on Eckler's face?
could just be the picture, right?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Eckler's,
Eckler's in amazing shape. Though.
Eckler's whatever. He's just getting after it. I mean, that strikes me as a guy that's getting after whatever. I mean, and we know that. That's how he is.
100%. That's how he is. He's still he's like 54 or 55, and he still does like 15 reps at 225. That's freak material. I don't know what he does, how he does it, but he does it. Okay, what else do we see in practice? It was, first of all, I would just tell you this as a sweeping sort of generalization. I felt good coming out of it. I felt good about what I saw. It looked good. You saw the receivers and DBs. That receiver group is good.
I don't know if you got to see Hardly Gilmore.
A little.
The way he carries himself, he's carrying himself as he's going to play. Like you sense it right away. The look, I mean, he's gained some good weight and muscle. He played at Kentucky last year. And there's a thought in the program that he could be as good or better than all of them when he's done playing by the end of it. I mean, he's got a lot of talent. That's a guy that excites me.
They have a good room there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Gilmore excites me. Corey Barney still excites me. Dane Key,
Cortez Mills,
Isaiah Hunter. It's a good group. Now they're going to lean on him, but we should mention real briefly. I know we're going to do a Dana Holgorsen segment. Dana mentioned yesterday they ran 24 inside run plays yesterday
in 3 different groups. So did I understand that as 3 groups each ran 24?
I don't know.
Or was it 8, and 8? You just wonder.
I don't want to pretend.
But he said he's never been, and you hear this a lot from coaches that come to Nebraska who have never been to Nebraska. And this will be the end of it, though, after this year. But they're always floored by the numbers that Nebraska has on a spring roster. Because Nebraska traditionally has carried a big roster, which means in the spring, there are probably 30 or 40 extra players here that if you came from like Northwestern or West Virginia, like Dana Holgorsen,
they wouldn't be there.
They wouldn't have those players. And it allows you to have 3 full groups. So Nebraska very easily could have a true spring game this year. They have enough players too.
Do they have enough linemen?
Yes.
Do they?
There's 6 tackles.
Okay.
And plenty. I mean, but again, we know the reasoning. They're just not doing it. Right. All right. Let's before we take it to headline number 2.
Okay.
Again, we're brought to you by our title sponsor, StayHome.Care. Call them at 402-205-2233. Learn about their services, everything they offer. They're there for you and your loved ones. We're also brought to you by Brunt Workwear. And let me tell you, we got our Brunt Workwear boots and hats a few weeks ago, right before the snow and the blizzards came through. Perfect timing, and love them. High quality, this
good
is
looking,
handsome. All different levels of boots and workwear they offer, even casual wear, but all the way up to the heaviest kind of duty work. If you want like fireproof boots, they offer that level of boot all the way down to just boots to, go out to do some yard work in or whatever you want to do, wear them out somewhere. So check them out on their website at bruntworkwear.com/Husker. And we are going to give you $10 off your order of Brunt with the code Husker. Again, that's bruntworkwear.com/Husker. The promo code is Husker, and we're going to give you $10 off that order of Brunt Workwear. We got our Brunt Workwear boots. Check it out. They have all sizes, all colors, all styles, as well as plenty of other great accessories, clothing items, hats, you name it, at bruntworkwear.com. Thanks to Brunt for sponsoring us here on HuskerOnline Headlines. Okay, headline number 2. Quarterback Dylan Raiola is taking charge of this offense, and you really sense that just by his off season. First of all, I did find it fascinating, Sip, that he completely stepped away from all elements of football for 3 full weeks after the bowl game. Just got out of it altogether.
I think that's good for him. You don't ever have to worry about him in terms of his focus when it's time. I always say that about him, but it's true. So I'm glad. I think it's good for everybody to do that sometimes. We
don't get to do that very often.
No, but we're not particularly healthy. So I want him to be healthy, and he looks great. I know this discussion gets a little old for probably him, but he does look great physically. Dana Holgorsen said the words, he's really focused hard on his body physically. He feels good. Dana said, you guys know how it is when your body's better and you feel good, it gives you confidence and you're probably going to play a little bit better. So now what's going on is they're asking Dylan to lead more, take charge, like you said. And Dana said he noticed that Dylan was kind of in the shadows when Dana got here past November. But now that's kind of changing. He's only 18 years old. That was always that was so much for him, I think, to be 18. And we kind of treat him like he's Russ Wilson.
Well, and he handled it properly in the sense that he didn't try to like take charge because he hadn't done anything yet here. It would have been awkward,
right,
to have just somebody come in and start yelling at you and telling you what to do.
Really awkward.
Like, you have to earn that. Like, you don't just get to start the boss. Even though in our world now, there's a lot of younger generational people that think they can start out as a boss. But it doesn't work that way in football. You have to.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Earn the respect of your team.
Yeah, and I think Dylan earns it not only with what he did on the field last year, which was very good at times, but at times he looked like a rookie. But he did weather it, and he played every game, right? And you also earn it in the offseason, and Dylan's a hard worker. And guys see that. Guys see that Dylan is what does Dana Holgorsen always say? He's so prepared. Like, Dana says that he'll get halfway through a play call and Dylan will just stop, interrupt him, and say, I know what the play is. So Dylan is so well versed in the offense because he studies it hard. And then guys see him now. You saw him yesterday. He looks different physically. He looks better. And Dylan said, I've never been in this good a shape. Looks great.
And I ran into Dominic and I asked him, how did he do it? Like, what did he, how did he lose the weight? No, I just caught up with him. And he said, hard work, man, no secrets. I mean, like, it's not like he did some kind of
boxing drills.
Yeah. I think, you can just do some sort of big diet. There's more than that. You have to do a lot of things.
Yeah. And Dylan did talk about it at length yesterday. He did talk about doing boxing.
Obviously dieting does matter too. You got to eat right. And
he did a lot of cardio, and then he did sauna. He'd lift. I think what he says, he would lift during the morning, come back and do some cardio, and then come back and do more cardio and sit in a sauna. If you do that regimen 5 times a week, you'll probably lose weight. And I don't think, this is what gets uncomfortable about the discussion is it's not like he was, I didn't think he was, I wasn't ever alarmed by the way he looked, but Rule talked about how they wanted him to change his body a little bit, and he did. So he did. I would say end of discussion, but I don't think it is.
Well, and at some points last year, he admitted like he probably should have run. And he didn't run.
Right.
And
he did say that yesterday.
And we're not saying be Jamal Lord of the 0-2 Husker offense here. This is like run to take 5 to 7 yards that are situational yards that are there.
Yeah, you asked him that.
If they're covering you up top with extra safeties and drop back people, and they're only bringing 3 or 4 rushers, you got to run and steal yards. Right. And he recognizes that. And we saw a lot of good quarterbacks that won this year. That's what they do.
And Dylan said, for people that are wondering, he said he's absolutely focused more on that this year. He said, I'm absolutely focused more. So it's a good picture with Dylan. It pretty much always has been. And then behind what they got behind him? You want to shift to that?
I think the conversation, I know that the number 2 quarterback, right now it is Jalen Granddad, as they call him, but Gramstad.
Holgorsen said that.
And obviously Davila,
Marco,
and
Marcos,
Latif,
DJ
can get there. But they're not there yet. They don't know what they're doing yet.
This is right. This is what Holgorsen said, that it's going to take them a year to learn the offense. Okay. I was thinking about this yesterday. Think about the advantage Dylan has over those guys. He's far superior in terms of arm talent. And where Dylan would create an edge in just about any quarterback room with his mind. Dylan's mind gives him an edge. He learns things super fast. He understands the game at a high level. That will give him an edge in just about any room he's in. And think about these guys. Think about what Dylan could teach TJ Lateef right now. Hopefully he is. Think about what he could teach Marcos Davila. Marcos Davila, by the way, big dude with an arm.
He kind of looks like Dylan at first when you see him. You're like, that's not Dylan. But they resemble one another a little bit.
I saw him throw a couple balls. Arm strength's not going to be an issue with Davila. Wow. I mean, he's got a long way to go, though.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a great situation. You got Dylan. You've got a guy next to him in a headset, essentially, Jalen Grandstad.
Yeah.
And that's when this discussion a year ago or last June, when we talked about him coming, there was pushback. It never made sense to me because I'm like, look, this guy has played so much football. He's won a lot of football. This is exactly what Dylan Raiola needed, a guy that can help him see things, talk to him, not trying to take his job, but there to understand what his role is within the program. And it's going to be perfect to keep letting these other guys develop as well. And you hope Dylan Raiola then stays healthy all year.
Yeah, one of Dylan's strongest comments yesterday was that he said to Gramstad, bro, you got to come back. Because Gramstad thought about leaving. And Dylan told him, bro, I need you. I need you here. So gigantic for Gramstad to stay.
And think he didn't get here till like July last year.
Right.
I mean, it was dang near July. So how much time did he really have? I mean, he literally worked a shift at a golf course, drove to the camp, tried out. They didn't even know he was coming. And all of a sudden now he's the number two quarterback.
Going
right
into now,
this year.
as it stands, it can change.
And a lot of people tried to downplay his addition and ignored it. And I never got it. Why? I mean, it didn't make sense to me because this is exactly what we thought it could be.
Exactly.
And
right. You're
just
right.
got to throw that out there.
No, that's all right. That's all right. I totally agree with you. He's the number two guy. Dana Holgorsen said if the season started today or tomorrow, whenever, he would be the number two.
Well, then it sets up a year from now. Ideally, Lateef or Marcos can be the number two guy.
Right. Exactly.
So
unless one of those guys really comes fast and overtakes Gramstad, it could happen.
All right. Before we go to headline number 3, again, HuskerOnline Headlines brought to you by StayHome.Care. Call them to learn about their services at 402-205-2233. They're there for you to help the loved ones in your life. Again, StayHome.Care. We are also brought to you by Huel. And let me tell you, this morning sip, I had Huel. I did the morning drop off with the girls. I didn't have time to do any breakfast or anything. Had a coffee, but drank a Huel. And what time? It's about noon right now.
It's straight up noon.
I am full of energy, not hungry, and that thing powered me through like a heavy incline running workout and lifting workout.
So what you're saying is Huel could help the show.
Yeah, and you've been drinking it all week, right?
Yeah, Huel, I've had 3 straight days of it. Hopefully Huel will help us get names right, get facts right.
There's something in there that helps you focus a little better.
I think so. All those things you said are very real to me. I noticed it right away too. So yeah, Huel. I like the vanilla the most. And I'll be purchasing some more, Sean.
Yeah, it's high in protein, 35 grams in the drink, contains vitamin C. It's very convenient. It's cheaper than coffee. Obviously, it tastes. I had the strawberry banana, and I texted you this morning. This might be my favorite one.
Okay. All right. I look forward to that.
So try them out at Huel.com/Husker.
Huel.
And use the code Husker, and you're going to get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. Again, that's Huel.com/Husker, promo code Husker. Get 15% off. Give it a try. It's worth it. Try it out for a month and to see if you like it, the results, and you'll get a great discount on trying out Huel. Perfect thing to drink on the way to work in the morning, in your car for lunch. Just to give you that boost that you need.
Yeah, help your workouts, help a lot of things.
All right, thanks to Huel for sponsoring us here in HuskerOnline Headlines. Okay, headline number 3. Dana Holgorsen is having fun installing his version of the NU offense. He's even having fun walking to work in negative 15-degree weather. I mean, he's Dana Holgorsen is all in on Nebraska right now.
He's bought in to that sort of mindset that Matt Rule wants to have. Matt Rule, again, I came away from yesterday feeling pretty good. You get away from the program for a few months and you hear a lot of things that it's not all, you know how it is around here, Sean, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know how it is. You hear things that sometimes concern you. But then when you go over there for a day and watch it and hear the guys talk, you come away feeling a little more assured, right? Dana, I'll be writing about this weekend, by the way. He laid out sort of how it's been for him since he got here. Remember when he got here in late November last year? He laid out a lot of what has transpired since then. I'll give you for instance, and this is a lot, but you know what he did in January, right? It was just Dana Holgorsen in front of a computer, figuring out
in an empty building.
Yeah, in an empty building because the rest of the guys were recruiting.
And the kids were gone for break.
Yeah, figuring out what he wants from this offense. I would say he was putting his stamp on it. He wouldn't put it that way. I'll put it that way, though. So he spent January doing that. Then what happened in early February? Everybody went on break, 2 weeks. The guys, I think Matt gave everybody.
After recruiting ended, the coaches got 2 weeks off.
Then they came back. They reconvened.
For 4 more weeks.
Yeah, and that's when Dana unveiled, in a sense, his offense to the staff mid-February for the next 4 weeks. Seemed the way Dana Holgorsen portrayed it as the guys bought in. And here's what we're going to do. And he said there were some minor, like, verbiage tweaks. He said subtle tweaks. The offense, though, it's not that much different. It's just pared down 50% or more. That's what Dana said. It's just pared down. So, but now he did say this too, Sean. He says, as far as what it looks like against Cincinnati and Arrowhead, he goes, I don't know any. He goes, you guys know as much as I do in that way. We don't, but it was his way of saying, we'll see what it looks like.
Just think how much different this feels compared to like Mark Whipple. When you think about Mark Whipple running the offense coming in, it just never felt like a good feel. It didn't have, it just never had a great feel. And it was just kind of a job for Mark Whipple. I never really got the sense that he loved Nebraska, was here for the long, and look, Dana Holgorsen, I think, is all in because he's trying to kind of get his star back up in coaching. He knows he's got Dylan Raiola for at least 2 years, and he can really get this thing going.
Some of your opinion on Whipple, though, is colored by what you heard in hindsight. In the moment, did you really think those things?
I did during the North Dakota game, yes.
Did you?
Yeah, when they weren't running the ball.
Right.
And all of a sudden, like Steve Cooper and Scott Frost, I said, no, we're going to do this. And then Anthony Grant just kind of blew through. But
I think our natural inclination, those Nebraskans and just fans, probably everywhere, not just Nebraskans, you want to believe it, though. You want to believe it's okay, right? You have the conversation in your head like, has to be okay, right? So in real time, sometimes it's difficult to form these opinions. In real time, I'd say in real time, sometimes it's hard.
But then there are moments
it's hard to form. Hold on. It's hard to form like correct opinions.
There are moments like the Purdue game, though,
mm-hmm.
where you're like, okay, Whipple is,
yeah.
But he had he knew how to get a good player the ball.
Even as late as the
Iowa game, correct. You're right. He had a couple of those moments, but overall, though, he was not committed to wanting to run the football.
No, he wasn't. Now, will Holgorsen be? Will Holgorsen be committed?
He said in so many words he is.
He definitely sounds that way. If you think about what you heard this week, Matt Rule said it'll be a 50-50 offense. Holgorsen yesterday said we have to be able to run the ball. We just got done saying that they ran 24 inside plays on Thursday. And he said we have to be able to run it. He emphasized it. But he also said we also have to move the ball late, through the air. He said that we just got to do what the defense dictates. Now, hey, Sean, you're old school. You've covered the program for a long time. Whenever a coach says that, I get it. It rings true to me. That's what you got to do. But we did happen to cover this program at a time where, remember, Sean, it didn't matter what the defense was doing. Nebraska just hammered away. It didn't really matter that much what the defense was doing. Tom just had a way of, Nebraska was so good, so physical that it was just going to do what it
But
did.
it mattered in the big games, though, in the Orange Bowls. Like,
True.
they weren't equipped to defend Miami and Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what led to the change to the scheme. I mean, think about Osborne. They weren't even – McBride told me this story, so I'm not just, like, making this up. Before, like, the early 90s, all of their defensive backs were walk-ons for the most part.
Right.
And – you know, you would have like corners that were from like small town Nebraska just play a drop back kind of shell zone defense.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'd get to the Orange Bowl and you'd have a corner from like Holdridge guarding Michael Irving.
Yeah, it didn't work.
And didn't work.
Michael Irving, yeah.
And so then Nebraska switched to the 4-3, and Charlie told Tom how many corners we need to offer. And he's like, we need about 8. And so they went out and started recruiting NFL corners.
As far as Holgorsen goes,
Bruce Pickens probably would have been one of the first ones.
As far as Holgorsen goes, I want to I'm always tempted to say this was a great hire, but I'm not going to do that. I don't know that. Do we know it's a great hire? No, we don't.
I will say he's got a lot of great things to work with.
He's got a lot of great things to work with, but I think you are like me. I'm kind of past the point of just proclaiming a guy a great hire. I don't know. Let's see it. Let's see it in the fall. If it's a great hire.
Let's see when Michigan comes in here with Bryce Underwood, who Pete Nakos, by the way, reported today is trending to be the starter at Michigan as a true freshman.
Well, Underwood's on the offense. I want to see how Holgorsen guys do against defenses. You know, I want to see what Michigan, how Holgorsen handles it when he faces these very good Big Ten defenses. I don't know that Michigan will be a great defense, by the way. They lost a lot. But how will it look? I want to say so bad, it's a great hire. Nah, I don't know. We'll see on it. Let's just wait on that.
Okay, let's take it to headline number 4. But before we do that, HuskerOnline Headlines brought to you by StayHome.Care. Again, for you, they're there for your loved ones to help you with things, simple tasks, cooking, cleaning, rides to doctor's appointments, home care. Call them at 402-205-2233. That's StayHome.Care. We're also brought to you by HelloFresh. And we all got our fresh box this week from HelloFresh, delivered to our doors.
I just
outstanding.
Unpacked it yesterday.
The last 2 nights, we were kind of in a bind. We didn't have a lot of time, and I was able to cook 2 great meals. My daughters got home from their dance and their soccer, and we had a HelloFresh. We had a chicken bowl. We had another
chicken bowl.
Yeah, really. And you got the same one. So that Robin and I loved that one. And then there was actually another beef and rice bowl that we put together, but it's so easy and it's fun. There's over 50 recipes per week. You pick which meals you want. Then they send you 2, 3, or 4 meals to your house. The produce, the spices, the vegetables, all the meat comes in a cooler with a simple to follow recipe card. The hardest thing about cooking is you might have 2 or 3 things going on at one time. Well, this kind of walks you through the steps of like, okay, when you're doing this, do this and do this. And then within 30 minutes, you've got a great dinner for your family. And I urge you, try it out. They can tailor the plan right for you, whether it's 2 meals a week, 3, 4, for 2 people, 4 people, whatever the number. Go to their website. It's HelloFresh.com/Husker10FM. That's HelloFresh.com/Husker10FM. Use the promo code Husker10FM, which stands for free meals at the end there. And we're going to give you 10 free meals for with your order, along with a free high protein item from HelloFresh. Again, thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring us here on HuskerOnline Headlines. But headline number 4, AD Troy Dannon backs Fred Hoiberg, also talks the future of NIL on his monthly radio show this week. And no surprise, because we knew already, but he's fully behind Fred Hoiberg. They gave him a big extension a year ago at this very time. Yes, the season ended poorly, but Troy Dannon really went out of his way to support Fred Hoiberg.
Did he though? I didn't read it quite that way. I didn't read it quite that. He didn't. He he didn't not.
Well, he knows things didn't go well.
Yeah, I didn't read it quite the way you did. I read it as interesting. He said the reality is when things don't go well, you have to be introspective and ask yourself why. My response to Fred is, this is really, really interesting to me. Tell me what you need. How can I help you? Here are the things I see, but tell me how I can help you. It's, I mean, really, really giving Fred a lot of grace. A lot of grace. This is a 6th-year coach, and this is what Dan had said. We all get emotional, but when you're working here, when you're Fred Hoiberg or in my shoes, you can't act emotionally. You've got to be rational, and you've got to figure out what we need to do to get to place where we want to get. I mean, I'm not being obtuse here. I hope you don't hear it that way. He's had 6 years to figure that out. These feel a little bit like quotes after year 2, not year 6. So and I think you're right in a sense that Dannon is supporting Fred, but I didn't hear it as, oh, hey, Fred's going to get this done. Trust me.
The biggest difference, though, now is the NIL and the revenue share that's happened in the middle of his time at Nebraska, where you're competing against people that are in a lot of respects getting a lot more support. And that's the name of the game now moving forward. How much will that rev share money be for basketball, and how much can and will you be able to get from your collective to build a roster?
Is that partly Fred's job to build that?
Yes. I mean,
right.
Win.
Right.
But like, yeah, I'll use Rick Pitino as an example. If he came to Nebraska, you think there'd be issues getting money for NIL and roster and revenue? No,
that's a pretty extreme example, but no, you're right. You're right.
And I think the winning and the coach attract the money.
Right.
Like Fran McCaffrey, there was a reason why Iowa's NIL was lagging.
Good example.
People didn't want to give Fran McCaffrey money.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, exactly. So I don't know. You're right, though. It's definitely Fred needs help in that way, but Fred should be able to help himself. I don't think Fred can just divorce himself from that conversation and say, hey, what am I supposed to do? We don't have the money. Well, wait a second. No, wait a second. And I don't want to impugn Fred because I don't think he does that. I don't think Fred does that, but I think fans do that for him a little bit. And I would say to those fans, wait a second. It's Fred's job. It's partially, whether you like it or not, the head coach's job to fortify his roster and help raise money to do that. That's part of the deal. If you don't like it, then you probably will need to get into another profession.
When I drill in on their season, I think their big men acquisitions just didn't materialize. I mean, Morgan was solid, but not like an elite starter.
Not an elite starter. I'm a bigger Morgan fan than you.
But not a start, not an elite starter. I think Mia, not an elite starter.
Kind of disappointing.
And then Rink Mass being out was massive.
Yeah.
And then the Burke injury changed the season. Because go back to the Oregon game, how good they looked in Eugene.
They did look good.
We never really saw that team again.
I don't think so.
I mean, they kind of, the win at Northwestern was fool's gold.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they won that game, but I mean, that was their last win, like down the stretch, really.
But the Burke injury hurt, but it's not like, I mean, other teams have injuries. I mean, you can't.
Yeah, but they didn't have the wiggle room to survive that.
No, Burke's pretty good.
And then when Burke came back, he was not Burke. He was.
Well, that hurt him for sure. So now, also, if we're just being real, I don't know that Dannon would be in position to make a move on Fred, right? Because of the
$20 million.
$20 million. I think Nebraska could do it. Like you could buy a speedboat right now, but you just don't want to do it, right? Like I think Nebraska could do it. It just wouldn't be smart.
Dumb money.
Yeah, dumb money. So don't do it.
Like there would have to be somebody that disliked Fred so much that they just wrote the check.
Right. Now, if you're Dannon, and I'm being a little bit frank at this point, maybe more frank than you want me to be, you might just say this. Well, I'm just going to let it play out. Next season will be next season. And if he gets his team to the tournament, then, let's talk. If he doesn't, then it just played out, because played out.
In all reality, 10 of the 18 Big Ten teams should go to the tournament every year.
Yeah.
In the way it's going. And Nebraska needs to find themselves in that 10.
Well, at least needs to find itself in the Big Ten tournament, I mean, that's the thing. That's what we're talking about.
All right. Before we go
that shouldn't be something to even this is discussed.
Thanks again for joining us here in HuskerOnline Headlines. Before we go to headline 5, again, we're brought to you by the title sponsor, StayHome.Care. They're there for you, your loved ones. Call them at 402-205-2233 or visit their website at StayHome.Care. Email them if you have questions about their services too at help@StayHome.Care. It's never too early to call. You might have a loved one, a family member, a friend that might be in the need of help, and you just want to know what can they maybe do for me or them and our family. Call them again at 402-205-2233. StayHome.Care. Okay, headline 5, odds and ends. I do want to hit on recruiting because Nebraska had a very significant quarterback visitor on campus. Trey Taylor was here, and that is their 2027 target out of Lake in the Hills, Carmel Catholic in Illinois, was here. Just as expected, the visit blew him away, the facilities. He's being heavily recruited, though, Trey Taylor. And, A&M is another one of the big schools on him that we reported, as well as many others. But, good sign that they got Trey Taylor here on campus. Now the question is, can they get him back?
Yep, that's the question. But I get it. I get it from being over there. I wish I was over there a little bit more over there at the stadium, because you would agree, Sean, the picture's pretty good, isn't it? What you see, it's a pretty good looking team. You know what that facility looks like now, right? The training facility. Wow, it's a wow. I can see any recruit coming in here and going, yeah, this is a program that has it together.
And the timing of him is perfect in the sense of Dylan Raiola's age. Like, when you started true, we've seen this at Nebraska. When you start a true freshman or redshirt freshman quarterback, a la Taylor Martinez, a la Adrian Martinez, a la Tommy Armstrong, it kind of spooks away
it does
quarterbacks for a couple years because you automatically know you're not going to have a chance.
Mm-hmm. And Nebraska but right now they're in a pretty good spot quarterback wise, even with a situation that could spook some people. The portal helps that. A Davila becomes available to you, and TJ Lateef made a decision to come. So it's good. They're in a pretty good spot. Gramstad is a huge part of that conversation. But so, yeah, this is a big one. This is a big one. So
we'll see 6'2.5", 190, Michigan State, LSU. I mean, everyone's on him. But that's their guy that they've zoned in on for 2027. Dane Raiola is their 2026 QB recruit. Basketball off to Vegas. They will play Monday in the Crown. So we'll talk more about it as well Monday. But I am intrigued just how this whole thing goes.
Yeah, I bet it'll look pretty good. Fox. It's a Fox presentation. They're playing at the MGM Grand and then T-Mobile Center. The good venues that will look good on TV. I bet the presentation will be really good. But, I mean, come on. The field's not great.
Is that one of the NBA Summer League venues?
Yes, I believe it is.
Surprised you haven't been to that. That NBA Summer League seems right up your alley.
It is right up my alley. You're right. Maybe this is the year.
I mean, it'd be fun.
One of those flights out of Grand Island and whip over there.
Yeah, and get Bryce plays out there and go watch. I mean, or whoever, but you don't get the stars in that type of deal.
So Nebraska's going to play Arizona State on Monday. Arizona State 13-19. So yeah, we're in a countdown to the Crown, and we'll see what I bet it looks pretty good. I don't know about the basketball.
Arizona State too, good draw. A lot of issues with that roster.
Should beat them.
I mean, they should. And the key players are playing for Nebraska other than Raleigh. So we'll see where that goes. Baseball has a big one at home. Oregon State, I believe, is one of the highest ranked teams to play at Haymarket Park now in over 15 years.
They are 5th nationally. Oregon State is 20-4. They are excellent pitching as usual. Oregon State has qualified for the NCAA tournament 17 of the last 19 years. It's a power. So they're coming in, and it'll be a major test for Will's team, which has been inconsistent, to say the least. But maybe this is a weekend to get on the right track. Maybe.
And today is interesting Friday because the wind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a red flag warning, meaning the wind and the dryness. So the ball's going to carry out of the park.
So they'll get one in today. It's Friday as we speak. Saturday, the temperature's supposed to dip. And then Sunday, I don't know if they'll get a game in.
Yeah, I don't know what time the rain's going to come in on Sunday either. We play a soccer game at 1:00
On Sunday.
Yeah, and it looks like we might be able to get that game in. We'll see
On Sunday.
Yeah, no, Saturday.
Saturday. Is the rain supposed to come Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh,
Saturday and Sunday both.
Okay, so yeah, would Will? Yeah, I mean we're doing this kind of we're
iPhone meteorologist here, but they should probably get two. They should try to play 2 games today, but they probably won't.
Mm-hmm. Nebraska 10-14. Nebraska comes off a road trip 3-6. They got to get it going. Now you wonder, is Oregon State in the conference? No, they're playing an independent schedule. So I don't know what the hell that looks like.
Hey, did you watch Cooper Flagg?
Yes, I did.
Unbelievable.
Well, he's really good, and that team is really good.
Just his feel, though, like,
oh yeah,
there was a situation where he kind of lost control, or somebody threw a bad pass. He saved it. Then he just tapped it to a guy for an alley-oop. I mean, not just his scoring.
Oh, he's really
the way he moves without the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He passed it, moved around, came through like a flex cut screen and got a wide open layup.
He's really good, and I agree with you. I just want to emphasize they're really good. Duke is not just Flagg, but he's the best player in America. There's no doubt about it.
And I heard Nick Baugh on Westwood One say they're the tallest team in America.
I'm trying to say is they're the best team in America. If they don't win it all, it'll be because they don't play well in a certain game. I watched the Arizona game last night, and Arizona's good. I want to say this. They played a
great game.
Arizona's a 4 seed. But you don't have to be Fred Hoiberg. You don't have to be Bill Raftery. Did I say his name right? Bill Raftery, to see that Duke is much better than Arizona, the 4 seed. I watched it for 5 minutes, and I was like, wow. Now, but here's the thing. Arizona stuck with them. I never had a doubt that Duke would win, but see, this is what I mean. If Florida or whoever sticks with Duke for a while, they might be able to pull it off at the end. But it's going to be really hard because Duke is the best team left.
Do they play Alabama?
Yes.
So Alabama hit 25 threes.
Alabama hit 25 of 51 threes. I'm going to say that's about 50%. Columbus High School, I didn't do really well, but that's about 50%. And they have that kid, Mark Sears, hit 10 of 16 threes. Sean Callahan hitting 10 of 16 free throws for Omaha Gross would have been pretty good.
Yeah, I would have taken that. Well, first of all, we didn't shoot enough to get 16 free throw attempts.
He hit 10 of 16 threes. So BYU caught Alabama on a massive heater. 25 of 51 is remarkable. It's an NCAA record. So it's a tournament record, 25 threes. That's what I mean. Alabama, if they play really well, can keep it close and maybe steal it, but that's what it would happen.
The length of Duke, though, is going to alter those shots a little bit.
Probably.
I just think the length, the way they play the perimeter, because they're not going to let – I mean, Duke's got enough down low, too, that they can, focus on the perimeter.
I really appreciate that head coach for Duke because I would consider myself a basketball purist. They are beautiful to watch.
Shire.
Yeah,
was he he was an assistant for Coach K, right?
Pretty sure, yeah. He was.
Yeah, just all the people that tried, positioned themselves to get that call. It's amazing. Like, he probably had the least amount of recognition, and he's doing great.
He's doing great.
I mean, you think about Wojo, the guy at Northwestern, Chris Collins. I mean, there are a lot of people, capable, that you're like, oh, when Coach K retires, this will be the guy that succeeds him. Well, they go with this guy, John Shire.
And he's the right guy,
and he's perfect because he's made the program about the players, and you don't ever really talk about him.
No, you don't.
And I think that's
a good point, Sean. God, you just made a good point, because basketball is so coach culture, such a coaching culture. The coach, Calipari. You don't know any Arkansas players, right?
No.
Patino. You might know RJ Lewis on on St. John's, hardly anybody else. That is so true with Duke. You know Cooper Flagg. You know Kneppel. I think it's pronounced Kneppel. They have a couple other guys that you know these guys. You certainly know Cooper Flagg. But yeah, you don't think about the coach first. God, they're good. Man, they're good.
Yeah, if they play like that, they're going to win.
Yeah, they're beautiful to watch.
All right. Well, good week of shows. We have full spring practice again next week. So looking forward to that. For Steve Sipple, I'm Sean Callahan signing off here for another edition of Husker Online Headlines.